What's the craziest thing an ex-friend slash lover has done to you? Found out my long distant boyfriend of 3 years got married and had a baby while we were together. He was in my town every weekend. It was nuts. Got mail delivered to my house when she found out I was going to break up with her. Then wouldn't leave when I did break up with her. I called the police, and since she received mail at my house they said it was officially her residence as well. I had to call my landlord and have him evict me to get her to leave. Once she left he rescinded the eviction notice and I moved back in. My ex donated a kidney to me. It still wows me how she decided without even a moment of hesitation. Great person for sure. She met me for a date, went to go meet her parents. I had a beer with her dad while she went upstairs and fucked her brother-in-law. Then she came downstairs and left with me to resume our date. I found out after the fact, got tested and dumped her ass. Took me a second read to see who was fucking the brother-in-law. Either way, bold move. Called me at 3 in the morning to yell at me and call me a whore for liking a YouTube video by Dashi a month before. Tried to tell me she was pregnant when I broke up with her for being a compulsive liar, which just confirmed that she was indeed a compulsive liar. Came over to my house and punched me awake because I didn't answer her phone call. Because I was sleeping. Oh, and she stabbed me with a pencil. When John Wick calls, you answer the fucking phone, pal. Had a girlfriend edit old Facebook Messenger timestamps to make it look like I was cheating on my new girlfriend. Would like to say that my taste got better, but I got stabbed after that by an ex. She made a key to my house and stole my dog after we broke up. She then called me and told me she found said dog running loose in my neighborhood. Neighbor had it all on video. Dog was very confused. Ex-wife befriended a pedophile on parole at her job and bought him cell phones with cash for him to use to keep in touch with his former young lovers, violating his parole conditions of having no internet access, smartphones, or social media accounts of any kind. She was dumb enough to admit all of this in front of security cameras with microphones. Footage was provided to the local sheriff's department once it was discovered. Soon after this, she secretly planned to move him into our home and gave him our Wi-Fi password. She acquired a gun and bragged to her co-workers about how she was going to get rid of me and give the pedophile his freedom back. Luckily one of her co-workers got a hold of me and told me her plan. Within an hour I had confronted her and our 7-year marriage was over. Since she didn't get to use the gun on me, her psychosis drove her to use it on our dog once I left the house and relationship because she didn't like the way the dog was looking at her. Oh, and our local sheriff's department was utterly, frustratingly useless despite all the evidence of plotting a murder, possessing a weapon in the living space of a convicted felon, and numerous parole violations. Turns out an officer involved was just arrested for numerous sex crimes himself. She called my boss, told them I was embezzling. Took 3 audits to clear me. My ex came to my apartment while my now husband was there. Rang the doorbell and admitted that he'd been watching us through the glass in the front door. Luckily we weren't fooling around just watching a movie. Proceeded to threaten to kill my husband after the inevitable confrontation. Then proceeded to try and get hired at my husband and I, place of work, and got so far as the interview before I found out and called HR to let them know he would be a threat to us. A couple of weeks later my mail goes missing and turns out he'd taken it and proceeded to pay my electric bill. Glad that's behind me. ETA, I did not expect this to blow up. Thank you guys so much. I think paying the electric bill was like a love bombing thing, because at that point he was constantly bringing gifts and leaving them on the porch with handwritten letters about how sorry he was. Looking back there were signs of drug use, and I heard from a mutual friend he was arrested and charged with drug possession not long after all of this, but I'm not sure which drugs he had. showed up to my parents' house while I was with my new girlfriend and told my parents how we couldn't break up because I had sex with her and so we had to be life partners. Parents were ultra conservative, so it was a point fun time. Flew in from overseas to support me when my father unexpectedly died and then proceeded to break up with me in the day of the funeral. I was in the military at the time. Ex called the base and told them I was passing her secrets. Also called my mom and told her I died, but the army wouldn't tell her. And called my landlord to tell them I was killed, so they should release the apartment. Yay. That ended up being hell for me. The military takes that shit very seriously. I was pulled out of formation and arrested, no idea what is going on. Took 2 weeks before they believed me and released me back to my unit. By then the landlord had actually started boxing up all my stuff to sell off. I still think about the karma she has coming to her at some point. And we had only dated for maybe 3 months. WTF. She was crazy. Sent me $1 on Venmo just to say one last fuck you. Woke up from a heavy night of drinking next to my ex. She asked if I wanted to try to put a baby in her, and when I said no, she pulled a knife on me asking if I wanted to die. Cheated on me. Then cheated on me again after we went to months of therapy. Then emailed my parents and told them I was bad at sex. I learned the whole cheating lesson from an ex, and honestly the worst part about it wasn't even the act itself, it was the fact that to this day she legitimately doesn't believe she did anything wrong. After all, she still loves me, it's just sex with everyone else. So, therefore, I'm the asshole for dumping her. Counting the years till my son turns 18, and I can just block her number for good. Attempted to catfish me on Black Planet using a picture she manually snapped from a magazine as her profile picture. I could see the seam down the center of the picture. I knew it was her because she had a very poor grasp of grammar and she makes specific mistakes that no one makes. When we met on the site, before I realized who she was, I asked why she was single. She stated that her ex died 2 years ago. Considering she pulled a gun on me in a prior instance, that may well have ended up being true. She attacked me with a ukulele while screaming. We had been arguing heatedly and she went to another room. I assumed she was just getting some space and cooling off. A moment later she came running out of the room, screaming and swinging a little guitar at me. We didn't break up then, but eventually did, and that incident was the main reason. However, until then I could never be calm if she was in another room. Cheated on me, and when confronted, said he was testing my loyalty to see if I stay with him through thick and thin. What? When I had one lung for a hole between waiting for a donor. I had an ex-friend stab me in the chest where I didn't have a lung. Because he thought it wouldn't hurt, because I didn't have a lung. She would punch me in the stomach in the spot that makes you lose your breath, almost every day, because she thought it was funny. My friend's girlfriend called the police and told them that he had told her that he kept hearing voices telling him to kill her, which was a complete fabrication. The cops came and put him in a psychiatric ward for 3 days of observations until the doctors finally believed he was sane. She did it during final exam week when he was in college. She was straight evil. She literally stole my bed. Came downstairs. He was cleaning his gun. Heard him name bullets for me. Told me he had just tried to secure a gun so he could kill everyone I cared about. Took pics of me and my phone number and created a Grindr account. I got so many dick pics. Was pretty funny though. My husband. We were high school sweethearts. After 4 kids and 16 years of marriage he cheated on me. But he didn't tell me for over a year. On the day he chose to tell me about his affair I was in the middle of chemo for breast cancer. I was bald, sick and had only one breast. My mom had passed away 10 days earlier, and it was my birthday. Good times. This was 12 years ago. Happily I'm healthy, my kids are thriving, and we are divorced. But yeah, never saw that one coming. Ex-fiancé ended our 8-year relationship and called off our wedding 5 months before the date with a typed note that was less than 300 words long. She said she kept not being excited about getting married, so she decided she didn't want to get married anymore. A week or two passes, and I find out she cheated on me with a mutual friend. I called her, and she tells me she had to do it, and to please stop fixating on it. I ended up confronting the guy, and ruined her prospects with him. 9 months later, she married different guy 20 years her senior, pregnant with his child, on what would have been our dating anniversary. She recorded the ceremony, so I got to see it circulating. Her vows were all about how the new guy was better than me. I thought to myself, bullet. Successfully dodged. Poke holes in my condoms. Cheated on me, stole $2K from me, then sent me a pic of him with the new girl, because I wouldn't take him back. The craziest part is, he hit me up months later, and told me he cheated, because he thought he was better than me. I cackled like a witch. Ex-best friend, secretly very jealous of everything in my life, women, friends, etc. Secretly gathered information over years of time, and used it to attempt to ruin every relationship with a woman I had, and trying to get with them, still wondering if he was secretly in love with me. You better bleed. What? When we have sex for the first time, you better bleed. Felt like I was having a fever dream. Lol. Used to run a small DIY punk venue. My ex, who was angry with me at the time, came to a huge Halloween show we put on, went into the bathroom, lit the trash can on fire, locked the door behind her and left. I busted the door open and extinguished the fire before the building caught. I had approximate 250 kids in the venue that night. SMH. We'd been broken up for about 10 months and hadn't spoken in 7. For completely unrelated reasons after our breakup, I'd moved across the country, as in, I had been living on the East Coast and moved to California. She had found out where I lived, flown out there, rented a car, and was parked on my block scouting out my house. In the car was a pair of binoculars, a book on bad witching, to explain to any passersby why she was staring around a neighborhood with binoculars, and a cat carrier. She didn't have a cat. I did. She was planning to break into my house and steal my cat. She had even bought a return flight ticket back to the East Coast with the pet fee paid. Got into a fight at the strip club that I didn't agree to go to. Took my keys, threw it away, then drove off with my phone. I was far away from home, 2 AM, walking alone. With a bunch of bruises. Thank God, I find a way out of that toxic bullshit. The pandemic was hard on my ex-husband and I. He lost his job and then sat around doing nothing all day, like not even helping to clean or cook, while I worked, and we started going to counseling. He kept assuring me that he wanted to be with me and love me, till we filed our tax return, and he got the stimulus money direct deposited into his account. Next thing I knew, he's leaving me for his girlfriend. She bought her own engagement ring. With me there, telling her not to buy it. I broke up with her as we left the store. She pleaded with me to stay and I caved. A few months later she started getting resentful that I hadn't proposed and demanded that I take over the ring payments she'd been making. No doubt,